Hi, how's everyone doing? It's such an honor to be here in Korea, to be invited to an incredible event. We love Korea at Misfit. We've done business here for many years, and Shine is, our product is actually made here, so we're very proud of that. I wanted to just talk about really share with you two stories, talk a little bit about wearables, and just share with you some of the things that I've learned over the last 15 years. This is my third startup now, and I really just wanted to talk about a topic that I know may be difficult to talk about, but is important for us entrepreneurs, and that's failure. So I'm going to just share with you a lot of our failures, and hopefully some of the things that we learned from those experiences. So first story was from my second startup. My first startup, I had dropped out of school at MIT to start a software company. We made natural language processing software, which we sold to a search engine. And then I went back to school. I dropped out a second time. Parents were not too happy about that. And to start my second company. And I'm going to just share with you some of that over the last 10 years. This is a picture of Algomatrix when we were just starting. My partner Sridhar and I, who we've founded 3 companies together, we started in this apartment in Somerville, Massachusetts. And all of this equipment we got for free from MIT because people were throwing it out. But we found value in it. I actually lived behind that wall that we built. And here I am, maybe to pan the camera. Yeah. So this is quite a while ago. And I'm a mathematician, Sridhar's a double E, and we had come up with a way of making glucose sensors more accurate by just better math. And no one really believed us, and so we actually made a prototype. It was using some of the materials that we got from our grocery store across the street, believe it or not, and it worked. So we got financing from those people. And just a little note, in my first startup, it was a failure. We sold it, but it didn't make much money for investors. Investors lost money. But what's kind of interesting is the very first investors in this startup were the ones who invested in my first company. Yeah, and we had a very interesting conversation where we said, are you sure you want to invest in us? And they did. They really, they trusted us. There was a sense of trust, and they believed in us. They believed in the idea, the team. And they felt that we would act with integrity, and so just as we did in the first company. So they were the first to come back in again for a second time, and some of them have actually invested in my third company. So it's been great. And here we are, celebrating our very first financing in my second company. And, you always have to make T-shirts when you're a startup, right? And so here we are in the basement. We've started all 3 of our companies in the same basement. It turns out that making glucose meters for people with diabetes, how many here know someone with diabetes? Yeah, there's a lot of people here. It's just a worldwide epidemic. It turns out that making glucose meters more accurate was actually not that great of an idea. So we actually pivoted and we made strips. It was these biosensors, the disposables where you make all the money. It's like instead of focusing on making better printers, the idea was let's make the printer cartridges. So no one told us that making glucose biosensors was really hard. So we attempted to do it, and we were not that successful, but it worked well enough to get financing once again. And so we grew the company. We moved the company up to New Hampshire, which is near Boston. Then we pivoted again. It turned out that making glucose sensors was also not a great idea. It turned out that it was better to have other people make it. And so we went to Asia. We found a bunch of people who made glucose strips. And after going through a number of different places, we actually ended up in Seoul, in Korea, believe it or not. This was probably about 10 years ago. And we found a great partner, a company called iSense. And at the time, the strips were not amazing. They were just getting started too. But with our system, it worked really well. And so we bought those strips, put it into our glucose meter, sold that as a system. And we shipped our first product, here we are, in 2006. It was a cold winter day, but there we are, we shipped it. And just so you know, when we started the business, there were 30 competitors in our space. And by the time we shipped our first product, there were 72 competitors. 72 competitors, okay? And but then we went on to make our third major mistake, which was trying to build a consumer brand. Now, if you're a startup trying to build a consumer brand, it might seem kind of fun and a cool thing to do. It's really hard. It's really hard to do it. It's very expensive, and we basically got our butt kicked. All the major pharmaceutical. I mean, here we are in the Times Square. Great, but the amount of money we spent on it was ridiculous. It was really dumb. But we didn't go to business school. We didn't know any better, so we learned it the hard way. So we pivoted for a third time. 3 pivots in just a few years, and this third time, what we did was we ended up getting someone else to do the marketing for us, right? And so instead of going with our own brand, we went with a private label brand. And oops, here we are. And that went really well. So we got other people to market for us. We got other people to make the strips for us. We got other people to market for us. That worked really well. And we actually went back to Korea and worked with our partner to build what is now probably one of the best biosensor manufacturing facilities in the world. It's in Wonju, about 90 kilometers east of Seoul. Like I said, we've done a lot of business in Korea, and this factory probably produces about 8 or 10% of the world's supply of glucose strips. It's amazing, and so very proud of that. Then along came the smartphone, iPhone, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool to make, we're making meters and strips, profit was good, life was really good, made millions of glucose meters, billions of strips. But then we thought, wouldn't it be cool to run little programs on these devices someday? So we made one of the first diabetes apps for the iPhone. And we made a glucose meter that works with the iPhone. It was the world's first hardware medical device that works with the iPhone. And of course, it took a while because we didn't get permission. It took at first we couldn't get permission. And so after 10 months of not taking no for an answer, Apple finally said yes, and we got clearance to work with the iPhone. And with that, paved the way for a huge deal we did with a big pharmaceutical player called Sanofi, a big drug company. And here they are launching the product. And I think they probably spent more money there launching the product than we spent as a startup in the first 4 years. It was amazing. It's amazing to have these incredible partners. So Sanofi has been this fabulous partner. And so over the last decade, we've shipped a lot of products, invented a lot of stuff, hired a bunch of people, and just, we were in our mid-20s. We didn't know any better. We're mid-20s trying to start a medical device, a consumer medical device company. What a dumb idea. But we learned, and we hustled, and we grew over that time. Shipped 15 medical devices during that time, and we redesigned a product category from scratch, making some products were pretty nutty. And so we had a lot of fun. Second story, about 4 years ago, I had a chance to have dinner with John Sculley, the former CEO of Apple and of Pepsi. And after a while, I really just wanted to ask him Steve Jobs stories, because that was on my mind. What else would you ask John Sculley, right? Turned out he was just like an amazing person. He was so patient with my pretty ridiculous questions, and we just had a great time, and we hit it off. We became friends, and after a while, I just said, "Hey, do you want to start a company together?" And he said yes. Couldn't believe it. I was like, all right, I'm just a chump, but there's John wanting to start a company together. And I said, all right, let's do it. It doesn't hurt to ask. The worst is they can say no, right? So we started our third company together, Sridhar and I, with John. And John's been an amazing mentor to us. And hopefully someday we can bring him to Korea. Maybe next year we'll bring him here. And so we've grown this business. We knew we just wanted to work together. And so we started Misfit. And the mission was to make technology invisible, to make technology blend into our lives, into the and so that finally, instead of us doing this all the time and having us serve technology, let's have technology serve us. And so that was the plan. So what we do, wearable and ambient products. Products for the Internet of Things, things that will be connected in the background, doing things for us. So we're based in San Francisco, 25 of us there. Focused on industrial design, mechanical, hardware, firmware, and I'm from Vietnam, and so we also have a major operation in Ho Chi Minh City, where a lot of the data science and software backend, the R&D happens. Everybody always asks me, "Oh, Vietnam, how's the manufacturing there?" And I always say, It's really good. We manufacture lots of patents. And then we say, actually, we make things in Korea. And people say, why? And I say, it's because of the quality. You know, our partner, Visionscape, is amazing. They've done an amazing job making an incredibly difficult product. I'm wearing one right now. And we ended up not going to China because we couldn't find people who could make it as well, believe it or not. So so that's where we make it. The company's only about a little bit more than 2 years old. We started the company on October 5th, 2011. We did our own seed financing. And people ask why the name Misfit. You know, it seems like a bad name. Well, we thought we'd have fun with it. You know, it's our third company now, so I think we can afford to play around a little bit. But it turns, if you remember your Apple history, it's actually the day that Steve Jobs died. I know, it was a coincidence, if you believe in coincidences. And we thought we would name the company in honor of the spirit of unconventionality. From that video, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels. That's where we started. And then we were working on another product, which we haven't really released yet or talked about. But then I got venture financing from it, top-tier Silicon Valley VCs, Founders Fund and Coastal Ventures. And then after just a few months after raising, believe it or not, we actually pivoted. We thought, man, there are these companies selling activity trackers for $100. We should make something like that. And so we designed something, the Shine. We weren't sure if we could sell it, so we thought, okay, instead of making it and trying to sell it this time, let's try to sell it and see if people would buy it. And that's one of the lessons that I thought I would share with you, something that I would just want to highlight from Eric's talk there. The Indiegogo campaign did really well, and we actually finished our campaign. $100,000 was our goal within 9.5 hours. 9.5 hours. We launched at 6 a.m. and we were done at 3:30 p.m. No marketing, no PR firm, no seeding, just organic word of mouth. We couldn't believe it. So we thought, okay, we definitely have to do this. One thing led to another. We got into the Apple Store and then got into a bunch of other countries. We're now sold in 32 countries, the Shine made in Korea, sold in 32 countries. And we're actually the official tracker at the Olympics in Sochi. And so there we are. So that's the thing. It was just, the idea was in order to make something wearable, we thought we either need to make it beautiful or invisible. So we took the beautiful route to begin with, and we'll be working on invisible later. But the idea was we also thought that to a large extent, the female segment is largely overlooked in this space. So we said, let's make something that women would want to wear. They would wear it anywhere and all the time. Here's what, we live in a world of black rubber bands, okay? And I just don't think people like to wear plastic and rubber. When was the last time you bought something for yourself or your spouse and said, here, wear this plastic thing? I don't know. We're big fans of Pebble. When they came out with the steel, I was so excited. That was the coolest thing ever. So we have in a number of different colors, in a number of different accessories. So we wanted to give people the option to wear it in a lot of places. And we're opening up the ecosystem so that people can actually make the accessories themselves if they want. And so we even have T-shirts and socks that you can wear it with. I'm wearing a T-shirt right now where I can wear it with my Shine. So that's been a lot of fun. The app, hugely important. If you're doing just about any of these hardware companies, a lot of us, we're all focused on making a great experience, and it's mostly software that we're working on. We recently released the Bloom, which sold out, I think about 1,000 units within just a few hours. It was crazy. It's this necklace and that we wanted to experiment with, and people loved it. And so this was our latest addition. I just want to finish with a kind of a proposal for an approach to doing a startup that I think that we took, and I think could be useful for you if you're a first-time or maybe you're a multi-time entrepreneur. And these are just lessons to learn, like I said, over the last 3 startups. The first one is just the sequence of things. And a lot of people say, where do I start? Where do I go from here? I have an awesome idea. I want to do X, or I'm really passionate about something. I want to do it. What is it? And my suggestion is start by building a team. Eric talked about financing. Well, crowdfunding is great, but building a team, I think, is one of the most important things you can do to start with, because that's basically what investors, the top investors, invest in teams. Everybody says they invest in teams, and the top investors actually invest in teams. You know? So the question is, what is your role? What do you think is the #1 role? In my opinion, this is not truth or anything, but in my opinion, the #1 role. What do you think is the #1 thing that entrepreneurs need to be able to do really well? Any thoughts? So, yep. What's that? Absolutely, sales. You got it. That is the #1 thing you have to do. Okay? Must be an experienced entrepreneur. Or maybe, I swear he was not a plant. I don't know that person, you know, but anyways, the point is, that's what you do all the time. I'm not saying you're selling, you're being like some slick salesman or something. The idea is you're trying to convince customers to buy something that doesn't exist, or doesn't really exist in the way that you're talking about. You're trying to convince people to leave their comfortable jobs from wherever, you know, from, you know, great companies, to join you, and you're going to pay them less, and it's going to be less secure. Right? You're trying to convince investors to give you money when it's very risky. You're trying to get partners to work with you when they really should be working with a much larger company. You're trying to get the media to talk about you when there's nothing to talk about. Right? And so that's what you're doing day in, day out. Trade skills, being great at programming, designing, or whatever, are great to have, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be doing that. Okay? You're going to be in sales, and it's not just about selling products. Next step is to dream it. Think about really compelling use cases, right? What we have at Misfit is what we call the turnaround test. If you're halfway to work, if you forgot something, what would you turn around for? Smartphone, keys, wallet, right? What else is there? So those are, you know, so it's a very high bar, but think about that in terms of, is this something that my friend or my mom would turn around for? When we talk about wearables, you know, we think a lot about why people would wear things first. You know, we think about, you know, instead of making a really accurate sensor, let's make, because it's pretty useless if they don't wear it, right? Because the accuracy of that sensor is 0, in fact. So we think about the driver, the primal instincts that drive you to use products, in this case, to wear things. So ideal, great science, great technology, coupled with amazing user experience. I think that's kind of like the recurring theme here. The next thing, and I would say this is kind of controversial, but it's along the lines of what Eric was saying, something I learned. Actually, we studied Eric's campaign when we launched Shine, because we're like, okay, if we could do 1/10 of what he did, we'd be, and we didn't actually do 1/10 of what he did, but we got close. So the idea was to draw it. You can make it, you can talk about it, you can draw it literally, you can make a physical mock-up if you're doing hardware, make a video of it. All of those things are way cheaper than actually making the product. And the further you go down that list that's displayed up here, the more expensive it gets. I highly recommend starting at the top of the list and sell that. And you can do focus groups, you can do crowdfunding. You know, focus groups, bad idea. Crowdfunding, much better idea. And it's not so much to get the money, but to build the confidence that, oh, okay, people want this. I mean, when people give you money, when you show it to them and you say, great, do you want to pre-order? If they give you money and then maybe you'll give it to them in 6 months, that's a strong yes, okay? If you just ask them, would you buy this, and they say yes, I don't know if you can believe that. We looked at Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and I know Eric had a very positive experience with Kickstarter, or it sounds like it. Indiegogo was the platform we chose, and it was awesome. Those guys are amazing. I think it's the best crowdfunding campaign platform out there. Definitely better than doing it on your own. And then make it, you know. Be the user, watch users, prototype rapidly, and reflect on that experience. And the last thing I'll leave you with in terms of hardware, think about manufacturing. It's easy to making a product is very different from making something that can be made. Okay, so designing for manufacturing from the beginning. We actually brought our team to Korea, worked with the factory here, figured out what could be made, and then we made it. Then we did the engineering, then we did the software, and ship it. You know, as they say, real artists ship, right? And don't ever let perfect be the enemy of good enough. Look, you're not Apple, you're not Samsung, You can't wait till the last minute and unveil and expect millions of people to buy it. Ship the product, love your community, and listen to what they have to say. And at the end of the day, you're about being lean. I'm going to leave this up on the screen, 5 things that I've learned over the last 5 startups. In wrapping up, reputation, that's what you have. Guard it and act like it's important. It is. It's all you carry with you from one startup to another. Being obsessive about culture, they talk about it. Living it out is very important. Being lean, read the book. It's really good. Thinking about the user, super important, especially if you're in a consumer space, and even if you're not. At the end of the day, even if it's an enterprise product, you have to. There's a user at some point in time. And last is to stand up for what you believe, because even if because you'll be told time and time again to listen to experts, listen to the experts, but you're going to be the ones who have to deal with your decisions, not the experts. The experts get paid at the end of the day. So that was it. Thank you for your time, and it was a pleasure to be here to talk with you.